I just wanted to talk just a little bit about the second reading and then go on a little bit to the gospel. What it says is that whatever you eat or drink, whatever you do, do everything for the glory of God. Avoid giving offense, whether to the Jews or Greeks or the church of God, just as I try to please everyone in every way, not seeking my own benefit, but the many, that the many may be saved. Be imitators of me as I am of Christ. Again, one of the things about it is that while it's good in that way, if you take it to an extreme, it can be really bad. There was the people in Corinth, and the people in Corinth were lording it over those who would not want to eat meat. All the meat in Corinth were sacrificed to idols. It was all, what happened to all the animals sacrificed in the temples. They then went to the marketplace. So there were sacrifices to idols. And so the people were lording it over and saying, oh, all you have to do is just bless it and it's fine. But there were some whose scruples would say that they were not comfortable with doing that. So instead of taking the time to talk with them, or just saying, okay, fine, I'll have vegetables tonight, they were just kind of saying themselves as somehow superior. Because the one thing about it is taking it to an extreme, though. So that's good, but taking it to an extreme, what you can get is into people pleasing, and you're not being authentic, but you're just trying to please people. An example of this is there was a friend of mine who's in a parish in the Midwest, and what he did was that he said that there was a pastor before him who tried to please everybody. He was trying to make everybody happy. And so all you would need to do to prevent something from going through was to object. So there could be 700 people in the parish who wanted this thing to occur, one person who said no, and if the one person went to the pastor, he would be like, oh, okay, well, maybe we got to think about this some more. So instead of pleasing everybody, in the end, everybody hated him because, again, he tried to make sure that everybody was happy, and he just can't do that. So again, while I understand the reading in St. Paul to the Corinthians, again, you can take it to an extreme. The other thing about the gospel is that the leper came to Jesus and, kneeling down, begged him, said, if you wish, you can make me clean. He stretched out his hand, so Jesus became ceremonially unclean by touching the leper. But the lepers there were people who really were in a state of total deprivation. They had to go away from the town. They had to go away from everyone. They had to say that they were unclean. They could not go into the synagogue. They could not be with their family. They had to beg for alms, but beg at a distance. And so when Jesus says to go show yourself to the priest, again, showing yourself to the priest is, okay, we made a mistake. It's not something that's serious skin condition that's contagious, but it's just something that went away naturally. So, if, maybe 5-7 days later, it's like, oh, it went away, then you could go show yourself to the priest, and the priest would say, yep, that's true. He would go in, bless the house, and everything would be fine. The problem is that this was not the case in this case of this leper. He was not just somebody who a few days ago had a skin condition that turned out to be nothing, but it was totally serious. So when Jesus tells him to go show himself to the priest, what he's really doing is that he's using the miracles as a way of parables. The parables were a story designed to have people enter into more deeply. You couldn't enter into it on a superficial level. You had to think about it more deeply. The same thing with the healings. You could have somebody tell everybody in the town, hey, look at me, I'm healed. Go get your healing. Step right up, go get your healing now. So that's why he said, don't tell everybody, but just go show yourself to the priest. Because if you go show yourself to the priest, he's going to say, what in the world's happened? How can this be? This is impossible. And so again, it gets people thinking about, how did this happen? What did he do? Who is this person? So again, helping them to think more deeply. The interesting thing is that somebody told one time, which is true, is that a lot of times with the Gentiles, when they do a healing, he says, go tell everyone what happened. Again, kind of that pre-evangelization, kind of telling people what happened. And then maybe, 20, 30, 40, 50 years later, the evangelists come and they maybe come to that town in Samaria, or they come to that Gentile town to the east of the Sea of Galilee. And they were able to say, that this Jesus who came here, 50 years ago, this is the story, this is the situation. And so they're able to kind of, in a way, do that pre-evangelization, prepare the people for the coming of the evangelist, who will then talk about the message of the passion, death, and resurrection of Jesus. But in the case of the Jews, again, what he wants them to do is to think about more deeply. Who is he? How did he get such wisdom? How did he get such mighty works? How did he was able to do these things? And so in a way, the healing becomes like a parable. Thanks. God bless.